here we go. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to see everyone, newcomers and oldcomers, for our number 252 Interfaith session we hold every week. And later on, I'll properly introduce our speaker, Baron Tambwe, who will speak on artificial intelligence and spirituality. But just a few words before we acknowledge country, and that is, just check that your name is on the screen. And later, when we have time for comments and questions, please raise your hands using the reaction button if you know how to use it. Otherwise, just raise your hand. The principle of this group is that we're here to learn and to learn from each other. And the person who's teaching is the person who's our presenter for this evening. We can't all be teachers at the same time, much as we'd like to be. And this reminder, which we read nearly every week, and that is, whether through deeds or words, the merit of your every contribution to social well-being lies first in your resolute commitment to discover that precious point of unity where contrasting perspectives overlap and around which contending peoples can coalesce. So we're looking for points of unity. Of course, we'll discover a variety of views. That's great, but we don't, in this group, we don't start with contention. We look for points of unity. So we've allocated readers, and after a short program of music and readings, then I'll properly introduce the speaker. But first of all, I'd just like to ask Ahmed to acknowledge country.
Okay, the top is a paragraph from a message from Resmond of 2023 from Universal House of Justice, which I would like to read. There is widespread acknowledgement that the present-day structures of society are ill-prepared to address the needs of humanity in its current travels. That was widely assumed to be certain and unshakable is being questioned, and the resulting firmament is producing a longing for a unifying vision. The chorus of voices raised in support of oneness, equality, and justice shows how many share these aspirations for the society. Now, I've looked around to find a acknowledgement quotation, and I'd like to read that one. We pay respects to elders past and present and recognize the enduring connection of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to country. I invite us all to reflect on our shared responsibility to honor and respect this land and its stories. Now, the Gadigal of the Eora Nation are the traditional custodians of this place where Abasanta and Siba are living, and tradition of owners of the Bearwood. And I live in Koringai land, and I acknowledge Koringai community.
Thank you, Ahmed.
This is me. Good song.
Oh God, my beloved, my heart's desire. Oh God, my God, beloved, my heart's desire. Oh God, my God, my beloved, my heart's desire. Oh God, my God, my beloved, my heart's desire. Oh God, my God, my beloved, my heart's desire.
This wisdom derived from sacred right, and the wisdom of experience I shall proclaim to thee, living, nothing unsaid. Among thousands of men, but one, maybe will strive for self-perfection. And even among these who have won perfection ground, but one maybe will come to know me as I really am. Into writing. Bhagavad Gita.
The teaching which recommends that the work performed with the view of performing one's duty honestly shall bring forth happiness. The teaching which leads mankind to real knowledge and wisdom in reaching thee, O Master, is its rewards. Zoroastrian writings, verse 13.
To drink, what is it? Dhamma? To drink Dhamma is to be serene. Serene wisdom finds delight in the noble Dhamma. Wind will not move rock, nor praise and blame a wise man. The words of the Dhamma flow into him. He is clear and peaceful like a lake. Buddha is writing.
Thou wilt guide me with thy counsel, and afterward receive me with glory. Who have I in heaven but thee? And beside thee I desire none upon earth. My flesh and my heart failed, but God is the rock of my heart and my portion forever. Jewish writings.
It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Christian writings.
If all the trees that are upon the earth were to become pens, and if God should after that swell the sea into the 7 seas of ink. His words would not exhaust, for God is mighty and wise. Islamic writing.
And yet, is not the object of every revelation to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind? A transformation that shall manifest itself both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external conditions. For if the character of mankind be not changed, the futility of God's universal manifestations would be apparent. Baha'i Writings.
Mystic time I've known before.
Thank you very much to all the readers, and welcome everybody. And now I'm very happy to introduce our presenter for tonight. Baron Tambwe is a Canadian of Congolese descent. Born from Baha'i parents, he spent his formative years surrounded by a vibrant and diverse African culture. As a teenager, he pursued his passion for technology and innovation. Baron holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Systems, a Bachelor of Technology in Software Engineering, and a Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence. With a strong educational foundation, he embarked on a successful career in software engineering. Baron has held various leadership roles, including Engineering Manager at Amazon AWS, Vice President of Engineering at Coinberry, and currently serves as a Senior Engineering Manager at Walmart Global Tech in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. He actively participates in community building activities initiated by his local Baha'i community. And very happy to welcome Baron to talk about artificial intelligence and spirituality. Over to you, Baron.
Thank you very much, dear Colleen, and everyone in the audience. So for today's session, I would like to share a slide so that we can be able to visualize some of the concept, as well as being able to share some quotations from the Holy Writings. So let me go ahead and share the screen. I don't know if everyone can see the screen I'm sharing.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, good. So today we'll be discussing about artificial intelligence and spirituality, because right now everyone is talking about AI, and there are many assumptions that have been made as to whether AI can surpass human intelligence. AI can replace the human workforce. Will AI generate more wealth than ever before? So all of these topics that are very prevalent in the discourse of society have some connotations. And if you analyze most of them, you'll see that they are being explored more on a materialistic point of view, and missing out a very complex spiritual nature of the human being when trying to make such comparisons. So we will try to explore what the Baha'i faith gives us as understanding to the nature of intelligence, the human intelligence, so that we can contrast it with AI to see how they intersect and how they complement each other, and the limitations of each. So to start, I would like to explore first the concept of artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence, and where does it come from? So by definition, we say that artificial intelligence is a set of computer systems or machines that are designed to simulate or imitate the human intelligence and perform tasks like learning, problem solving, and decision making. So the key word here is simulation. So we need to have human intelligence first that produce knowledge, and then we simulate it into computer systems to create what we call artificial intelligence, which means there is a dependency relationship. We cannot have AI without human intelligence. So where does it come from? Because right now, for many people, it's the first time they hear about AI. So there is also this assumption that AI is something that is new. AI is not new. AI has been around for very long. It was introduced in 1950 by a British mathematician called Alan Turing. During just after the war, the Nazi was trying to develop some critical military programs. So the British and the rest of the world was trying to inspire them to understand what is going on so they can position themselves accordingly. So to protect themselves, the German government have designed a very powerful machine that could encrypt all the communications, making it difficult to break it. And it was Alan Turing who created a mathematical model that could mimic the human brain to be able to decrypt all the messages that have been communicated by the Nazi regime in Germany. And through that technology, which could successfully break the German systems, that's where AI started, because it was the first time we use mathematical models to develop technology that mimic how the human brain functions. So it's already in 1950 that this happened. Then we can now try to understand what is AI made of. So if you're using sophisticated AI tools that generate songs, that generate content, like ChatGPT and many other tools out there, you may be more inclined to think that AI is magic. But by essence, AI is not magic. AI is made of mathematical models. So we use a lot of algebra, a lot of calculus, a lot of statistics and probability. We use programming languages such as Python and many other more, and also powerful computers to build AI systems. So mathematics, the foundation of everything that AI is able to do. You can see here at the bottom, I present some of the most common equations we use, the differentials, and the slope, the loss function, and so on to implement AI models. And on top here, we have a programming language, Python, which actually implements these formulas so that a computer could be able to understand it. So AI is mostly programming languages, powerful computers that implement complex mathematical equations. So now, how does AI learn? To be able to learn, as I mentioned earlier, it needs to mimic the human brain. So, and there is a conventional way that was created to be able to achieve that. It's called an artificial neural network, which is an AI learning model inspired by the human brain structure. It features interconnected nodes called neurons organized in layers. Just like the human brain have neurons, those units of computations in our brains, we also build artificial ones using equations. For example, on the visual representation of neurons on the left, you can see that we have different inputs here. We have X1, X2, X3, and Xn. So these are the information we feed into the AI system so that it can learn from it and be able to generate new content or to make predictions. And in between, we have neurons. So on the other side, we have the mathematical representations. As you can see, the inputs, and then we have the activation function. So that's where the neuron is operating, where you're performing a linear equation. We are computing a linear equations there based on the inputs that have been provided. So everything is mathematics. There is no magic. There is nothing exhaustive about it. So here we can see the real brain, what it's made of. So it has inputs that capture information and signals. You have the soma, you have the dendrite, you have the myelin, you have the synapses, and we have the output. And the artificial brain mimic the same structure where we have the input, we have the biases, we have the activation functions, and which produce the output. So what is going on right now in the discourse of society regarding AI? There are many scholars and tech executives that have been making very bold claims like we have created an intelligence that is superior to the human intelligence. We are going in an age where work won't be compulsory anymore. You can choose to work and not to work. We are going in an era where human intelligence will be irrelevant. So all of these assumptions that have been made, if you analyze them clearly, they are lacking spirituality in it. So based on the Baha'i writings, such scholars who are making such claims, they can be categorized as materialistic scholars. So Abdul Baha gave a definition of who is a materialist scholar. He said by materialist, it's not meant philosophers in general, but rather the group of materialistic, of narrow vision, who worship that which is sensed, who depend upon the five senses only, and whose criterion of knowledge is limited to that which can be perceived by the senses. All that can be sensed is to them real, whilst whatever felleth not under the power of the senses is either unreal or doubtful. So all the assumptions made about the power of AI are limited only to what can be perceived through senses. How fast can you make computations? How fast can you capture images? How fast can you classify information and so on? So they are trying to use these capabilities that can be sensed and seen to measure or to compare the AI intelligence and human intelligence. So they are missing out another dimension that could bring them more understanding of the nature of the human intelligence. So let's now look into the nature of the intelligence itself in comparison to AI. So we start first with this quotation from Baha'u'llah, which gives us an idea of what should be considered as a source of true knowledge. So Baha'u'llah says that knowledge is one of the most wondrous gifts of God. It is incumbent upon everyone to acquire it. Such arts and material means as are now manifest have been achieved by the virtue of his knowledge and wisdom, which have been revealed in the epistles and tablets through his most exact pen, a pen out of whose treasury pearls of wisdom and utterance and the art and craft of the world are brought to light. So from this quotation, we can clearly understand that knowledge is a gift of God to mankind and not to machines. And everything that have been discovered, all the achievements that have been brought to light in the realm of knowledge, they come from the divine inspiration and not from machines or from any other source. So we can go to another quotation on the same topic. Here again, Baha'u'llah says, know verily that knowledge is of two kinds. divine and satanic. The one welleth out from the fountain of divine inspiration. The other is but a reflection of vain and obscure thought. The source of the former is God himself. The motive force of the latter is whisperings of selfish desire. So from here, you can understand that true knowledge can only come from God and not from electronic devices or machines, computers, and so on. So let's now try to understand where does the intellect fit in this context, because we cannot talk about knowledge without intellect. Based again on the Baha'i writings, in the hierarchy of creation, only man can possess intellect. No animals, no vegetables, no minerals. Only man can possess intellect. In this quotation, Abdul-Baha says, praise and thanksgiving be upon the providence that out of all realities in existence, he has chosen the reality of man and has honored it with intellect and wisdom, the two most luminous lights in either world. Through the agency of this great endowment, he has in every epoch cast on the mirror of creation new and wonderful configurations. This supreme emblem of God stands first in the order of creation and first in rank, taking precedence over all created things. Witness to this is the holy traditions. Before all else, God created the mind. From the dawn of creation, it was made to be revealed in the temple of man. So here again, we can see that the intellect have been given only to the human being. And all the new things, new creations that have been visible in the physical worlds are stemming forth from this power of intellect. And it stands above anything else in the creation, which means there is no any other creature in this world which possess the intellect as a human being. So now let's have a look on the source of mental capacity. Abdul-Baha says again that now concerning mental faculties, they are in truth of the inherent properties of the soul, even as the radiation of light is the essential property of the sun. It is through the power of the soul that the mind comprehended, imagined, and exerted its influence, whilst the soul is a power that is free. So here we add a very important dimension, which is the soul that is capable of giving us the mental faculties, which means without the soul, we cannot have mental faculties. So which means that the machine, the AI, cannot have real intelligence, cannot have creativity, cannot have imagination, does not have mental faculties because does not have the soul. We need to have the soul to be able to reflect these powers. And only men have a soul, which means we cannot compare the intelligence that is in the machine through AI and the intelligence which comes from the man, from the human mind, because it's inspired through the soul. So with this, let's now try to picture out how every level of existence fits into the picture. So we have 4 levels of existence. We have at the level 1, we have the minerals. Level 2, we have the vegetal. The level 3, we have animal. And level 4, we have the human. Each level have a set of powers that are specific to that level. For example, in the mineral level, we have the power of transformation. Minerals can transform and they cannot do anything else. For example, if we have carbon that have been put under pressure for thousands of years or hundreds of years, it transforms itself into diamond. So that's the power that belongs to the mineral world. We also have minerals such as malachite. If it's under pressure after a certain period of time, it gets transformed into copper, for example. So this is the only power that exists in this realm, the mineral world, and nothing else. And then we go to the next level of the creation, and we have the vegetal. The vegetal has the power of the level below, which means it has the power of transformation. Vegetal can grow. On top of the transformation, they can also grow. And then we go to the third level, which is the animal kingdom. It has the power of all the levels below, which means it has the power of transformation, it has the power of growth. On top of that, it has senses. An animal can feel cold, can feel hungry, can get upset, and so on, which powers are not present in the vegetal and the mineral world. And then above the animal world, we have the human world, which have the power of all the worlds below. So it has the power of transformation, the power of growth, it has the senses. On top of that, it has reason. So reason is a power that belongs only to the human existence. And where does reason comes from? It comes from the soul. As you can see, only the human existence is connected to the soul. It has a soul, and that soul is connected to the divine. So the capacity of reason, the power of reason, which belongs only to human, comes from the soul, which is connected to the divine. So the soul needs the divine inspiration to be able to generate new knowledge and invent new things that helps the humankind to advance. And any other level of creation does not possess that power. But all of them, they have a spirit indeed. So this is what Abdu'l-Baha says about the level of existence. As to the existence of spirits in the mineral, it is indubitable that minerals are endowed with a spirit and life according to the requirements of that stage. In the vegetable world, too, there is a power of growth. And that power of growth is the spirit. In the animal world, there is a sense of feeling. But in the human world, there is an all-embracing power. In all the preceding stages, the power of reason is absent. So only the human existence possesses the power of reason, which means only humans are capable of real intelligence and not machines or AI. So how does AI fit in this hierarchy of creation? As you can see, AI fits at the first level of creation, which is the mineral. It belongs to the mineral world. As we saw in the introduction, AI is made of mathematical equations, programming algorithms using programming languages, and powerful computers. So these powerful computers are made of minerals. They are made of nickel, silicon, manganese, tantalum, aluminum, lithium, copper, cobalt, phosphorus, and neodymium. So these are the core, the foundation, consider the foundation of AI. which means AI is limited only to the mineral worlds. It has only the power of transformation, only. It does not have the power of growth, which we find in the next level of creation, does not have the power of senses, does not have the power of reason. So how does AI, which belongs to the mineral world, is capable of simulating human intelligence? It comes from the fact that if you see at level 4, where we have the human intelligence, which has the soul is connected to the divine. So through that human intelligence, then we copy the reason through a process called machine learning. So we try to copy, we try to mimic how the human mind functions through machine learning, and we inject it into the machine. That's what we call AI, which means AI depends heavily on the human intelligence for it to exist, because the level of existence where it belongs, the mineral world, does not have the power of reason, does not have the power of senses, does not have the power of growth, which means by itself is not capable of producing any original thinking or displaying any original intelligence. So this defeats most of the argument we find in the discovery society, claiming that we have created a technology that is more intelligent than the human being. So that we can see clearly that is not possible, because there is a dependency relationship here. We need to have a human intelligence that is inspired by the divine through the soul to be able to train a machine which is captive with the mineral world, because it's made of minerals only. So let's see in a more elaborated way how this process works. So how does AI copy the minds and not the soul? So if it was able to copy the soul, maybe we could make some assumptions about a probability of it being superior to human beings in terms of intelligence. But as we analyze this, we can see that it can only copy the mind and not the soul. So the process started at stage 1. If you can see on the right sides of the diagram, we have true knowledge. So true knowledge belongs in the realms of the divine. So from stage 1, we go to stage 2, which means through the divine inspiration, that true knowledge is passed to the human soul. And then the stage 3, from the soul, it goes to the human mind. That's where it gets expressed now in the world of existence as discoveries, as understanding, and so on. So once it's the human mind, it can be captured in different formats, as voices, as pictures, as files, text, and so on, get stored in a database, which is usually called a data set or training data set. And once that knowledge in the data set, in the database, we start not using the machine learning process to train the AI model using mathematical equations. So this is at stage 5, where we're now capturing what the human mind have produced already to start and training the machine so they can be able to mimic that level of intelligence and display that level of knowledge. So here we are already in the mineral world. So we've left the spiritual, the divine, and the human world. We are now in the mineral world. And on stage 6, that's where we are building the model. So when we are training it using the data that's been generated by human mind, now we are training the model, building the model itself. And the model can be able to make predictions or provides new content, generate new content, and so on. That's on stage 7. And on stage 8, we use that model that's been built and trained to build a product. So we have many products out there. We have like ChatGPT, we have Gemini, we have Copilot, and so on. So all of these AI tools that have been built using these models. And on stage 9, we have us users. So if I want to maybe generate a new song using AI, I'll go and use an AI tool. I get that new song. If I want to write a new poem, I go in ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to write a poem about a specific topic. ChatGPT will generate that poem for me. So it may seem that ChatGPT is very clever, very intelligent, because it can produce 5 pages poem in few seconds. But in truth, that knowledge is not coming from ChatGPT. It has the chain is very long. It starts very far. It came from the human soul and then got transmitted into the database, and then we use it to train the machine and then build the AI tool that we're using. So AI is not producing anything that is original. It's not capable of independent thinking. It relies on the human mind to produce what it's doing. And the human mind is the only entity in the creation that can have a soul, which can get inspiration from the divine. So there was an argument now about creating what we call artificial general intelligence. So they've been saying that because AI is in the realm of minerals, maybe if we could give it the capacity to smell, to taste, to touch, to hear, to see, we can reach general intelligence, which is intelligence that is even far beyond the human intelligence. But because they are confined in the material world, they cannot see beyond that. They are missing a point that is very important. So that point is the fact that artificial general intelligence, even if they're able to implement it, it will still copy the limitations of the mind, because the human mind is limited. The only part of the human existence that is not limited is the soul. So they can copy only the mind and not the soul, which means even artificial general intelligence will still have the limitations of the current AI systems. So let's see what makes it limited. Abdul-Baha says, the mind comprehended the abstract by the aid of the concrete, but the soul had limitless manifestations of its own. The mind is circumscribed, the soul is timeless. It is by the aid of such senses as those of sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch that the mind comprehended, whereas the soul is free from all agencies. The soul, as thou observest, whether it be in sleep or working, is in motion and ever active. Possibly it may, whilst in a dream, unravel an intricate problem, incapable of solution in the working state. The mind, moreover, understandeth not whilst the senses have ceased to function. And in the embryonic stage and in early infancy, the reasoning power is totally absent, whereas the soul is ever endowed with full strength. So this quote from Abdul-Baha is showing the limitations of artificial general intelligence, because the fact that it does not have a soul, it should still copy the mind, the human mind only, and the human mind is limited, while the soul is unlimited. For it to learn these artificial general intelligence, it needs senses. So it's only by the aid of senses that can be able to learn, which means they might add sensors for capturing sounds, sensors for capturing smell, sensors for sight, and so on. They can add these sensors, but all of those sensors, they're still also confined to the mineral stage of existence. They cannot transcend that. So they're still having those same limitations as the actual stage of AI is experiencing, and cannot reach the level of intelligence that can surpass the human intelligence. Because as you can see on this diagram, everything that has to do with AI, which is on the bottom side of things, is in the mineral world with zero connection to the spiritual world. So they'll be copying only the human mind and not the human soul, and no connection to divine inspiration, which deprive them from true knowledge. So there have been also in the discourse of society, there is a possibility of, they've been claiming the possibility of AI taking over. So based on these writings we've been going through, we can see that because the AI can only copy the mind, it has limitation. But the soul does not have limitation. That's why even when we are asleep, our soul is still in motion, but our mind is not in motion anymore, which means AI is lacking that level of existential knowledge, which can make it independent enough to take over. If in the context of taking over, the real threat to mankind, because now everyone is about saying that AI is becoming a risk and this, that. The real risk to mankind is not even in AI itself, because AI lacks self-awareness. The real threat is the lack of spirituality in those who are developing AI and in those who have the responsibility to use AI at large scale. So their lack of spirituality is the threat and not the AI itself. Because of the thirst for control and domination, the drive between AI developments across the countries is every country is trying to be the first one so they can control the tech industry, they can impose their design of the world order they want to see, and probably impose themselves military over other nations so they can dominate. That's the first drive behind AI development. Most of the countries, they are not investing billions because they want to use AI to advance the human civilization. No, it's mostly for control and domination. It can be compared to the atomic bomb. So the atomic bomb by itself is inoffensive because the atomic power is not something that was invented. It's always been in nature. Uranium, plutonium, and so on, they have that capacity to generate that amount of energy. It became dangerous because it is in the hands of people who can use it to do wrong things. So the atomic energy itself, it's not dangerous to mankind. It's those who have responsibility to manage it and use it will become very dangerous because of lack of spirituality again. So let's read a little bit on what Abdul-Baha says about these kind of limitations. So the limitations of formal knowledge, because AI functions in the realm of formal knowledge. Knowledge needs to be acquired through senses provided to it so that it can use formal mathematical models to interpret it and generate the knowledge that's required. So what are the limitations with that? Abdul-Baha says that knowledge is of two kinds: existential knowledge and formal knowledge. So existential knowledge is what we possess because we have a soul which is connected to God. And formal knowledge is what we have in AI systems, which is based on mathematical models. So the existing knowledge and the formal knowledge, that is intuitive knowledge and conceptual knowledge. The knowledge that people generally have of things consists in conceptualization and observation. That is, either the object is conceived through the rational faculties or through its observation of form is produced in the mirror of the heart. The scope of this knowledge is quite limited, as it is conditions upon acquisition and attainment. So these are the limitations of AI systems. They need to acquire that knowledge through the human mind. Without human, if human doesn't generate any new information, AI will get stuck. It may recombine the existing information to produce something that will look new to many people, but by essence is not new because it's based on the formal knowledge, conceptual knowledge that have been stored already in the databases. So this lack of existential knowledge, which belongs only to the human soul, makes AI incapable of taking over because it's not aware of itself. To be able to take over and make decisions, we need a certain level of autonomy and self-awareness. And AI does not have that self-awareness because it comes from the soul, and AI does not have the soul, which means it should never have that, existential knowledge. So let's explore a little bit more on that topic as well. So Abdul-Baha says the other kind of knowledge, however, which is existential or intuitive knowledge, is like man's knowledge and awareness of his own self. So this is the knowledge that belongs only to the human beings. For example, the mind and the spirit of man are aware of all his states and conditions and all the parts and members of his bodies and all his physical sensations, as well as of his spiritual powers, perceptions, and conditions. All of these are in existence in the world of the minerals where AI belongs. It continues by saying, this is an existential knowledge through which man realizes his own condition. He both senses and comprehends it, for the spirit encompasses the body and is aware of its sensations and powers. Machines cannot be aware of their sensation, cannot be aware of the powers. He concludes by saying that this knowledge is not the result of effort and acquisition. It is an existential mirror. It is pure bounty. So if we remember at the beginning, in the introduction, we read a quote from Baha'u'llah which says, true knowledge came from God, came from the divine inspiration. So I believe that this existential knowledge has the same source, came from God himself. And because AI does not have a soul to connect to God directly, it may not have this kind of knowledge. And if it does not have this kind of knowledge, which is the sign of true intelligence, which means AI will never be intelligent than a human being. And because of lack of self-awareness, it will never take over because we still need a human to make decisions on how AI should be used. So by itself, it cannot take any decisions about its usage. And beside that, its existence is also conditioned by the mineral world. It needs power supply. So without power supply, any AI system cannot function. But the human soul does not need power supply. Whether we are sleeping, we are awake, even if we don't belong anymore to this physical world, the human soul continue to progress and exist. So this is another differentiation between these two kinds of intelligence. So to conclude, I would like to read a quotation from Baha'u'llah for the conclusion. Baha'u'llah says that knowledge is a light which God casted into the hearts of whomsoever he will. It is this kind of knowledge which is and had ever been praiseworthy, and not the limited knowledge that had sprung forth from veiled and obscure minds. This limited knowledge, they even stealthily borrow one from another and vainly pride themselves therein. So here again, in conclusion, we can see that true knowledge, it came from God and not from somewhere else. This is the end of the presentation, and I think we can go to questions and comments from the friends.
Thank you very much, Baron. Can I just ask you to stop sharing the screen, and then all of us will be on YouTube. All right. Thank you, Baron. That's quite an extraordinary presentation. And about a year ago, a Uniting Church member gave us a presentation on artificial intelligence and faith, coming at it from quite a different angle. But this was quite a remarkable and very clear presentation, which I appreciated very much. Before Ahmed's got his hand up, so I'm going to raise mine. And if everyone else who wants to ask a question could form an orderly queue, we've got about 15 or 20 minutes, I think. Ahmed, you had your hand up.
Sorry, I was just slapping the hands, but I'll raise my hand after you guys. But if you want, I can go first.
Yeah. I thought I saw you there. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Byron. Thanks very much for that talk. It was beautiful. Like very much explained AI to us. I'm wondering. My question is this: I'm not fearful of AI to do anything to us, but I'm fearful of the feedback from AI on human beings. Human beings can be affected by AI, yeah, and transform to a different set of mind. And I think it could be either way. It could be a bad way or it could be a good way. And I think eventually it will be a good way. And AI to me is a tool that man can use for progress. So what do you think of the feedback from the AI on humanity?
Yeah, AI, just like any tool, it carries with it a purpose or an intention, which is just the reflection of people who are developing it. So if we observe, like, for example, social media, how is influencing the society, is not by mistake. It was programmed to behave in that way. There are many psychologists that are involved to make sure that it's addictive enough, because the more you click, the more you scroll, the more they make money. So it was designed to shape your brain to function in a certain way. If you are passive about the usage, it will shape you in a certain way so that you can be used as a product for them to generate more money for the business. The same principle applies to AI as well. AI can be designed in a way that it's trying to fulfill a certain agenda. that agenda could be bad and that agenda could be good. Like for the early experimentation, we saw how AI have been at the heart of many racial discriminations, like for employment, for housing in the US, and also for promotions in the industry and so on, where the quality of data that is fed in AI is a reflection of the society we're living in. For example, in society where, like here in North America, where Black people represent the highest rates of incarceration in the prison system, not because Black people are criminal by essence, it's because the system have designed to make sure that we send many of them to jail. So to train AI, we need to use that data to train AI, which means the AI will replicate the same diseases of the society we are seeing right now. So if you're using such AI systems, of course, if a judge is using it, it will be more inclined to send to jail more Black people than other races. So everything depends on the intention behind the designer or the developer, as well as the quality of the data we are feeding it. If the quality of the data comes from a decaying society characterized by injustice, of course, the AI will mimic and reproduce the same injustice. If it's manipulation, AI will be manipulative. If it's distraction, AI will be destructive. So by itself, it does not have that power. It's just replicating whatever the human being are benefiting it with.
Let me give you an example that might clarify my question. For example, they're building humanoids, AI humanoids that are female or male, that they can socialize with their person, the third person, the person that is using that thing. And then that could have an effect on marriages, on social life of two opposite sexes, and these sort of things. I'm wondering what would the eventual feedbacks could affect the human mind.
Of course, it will have effects. It will have, like in this specific case, it will have severe effect because of this liberalism mentality. So we're allowed to do whatever we want. We don't want rules. We don't want laws. So if we move in that direction without laws and without regulation, if AI could be used for anything and for everything, then it will disrupt the normal and organic way of life. So this can be seen not only in this case, case of relationships. There are many cases as well, like the nature of work itself. For example, in the Baha'i faith, work is worship, which means work is not something that can be optional. Work is part of the human existence. Yeah, the human being should be involved in certain form of work based on their abilities and potentialities. But with the agenda that have been pushed right now with AI is to make work optional. So they want to make work optional by deploying robots that will be doing virtually everything, so that human beings should not be required to work. So if we reach that stage, what's going to happen is we'll have a society where work is not important anymore, a society where the station of work that's been elevated to worship is not in existence anymore. It has severe implications on how the society functions. So to prevent that from happening, we need to have legislations and rules in place to govern the development and the deployment of AI systems. And that can happen only if we have a spiritual mindset. When putting in place such legislations. But if it's just guided by material benefit just to say that this company is the most financially successful in the tech industry and so on. So if just financial success is the only criteria for developing these tools, then we'll find ourselves in these such situations which are changing the pattern of the society life in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I agree with you that we need social, spiritual ethics to rule the AI for the future. But I think, from my point of view, AI, the work that Baha'u'llah is talking about, I think is service. And if all the current state of work disappear, I think the work of the humanity in future would be service to humanity. I don't know how it will shape, but that probably is what I think it will eventually happen, because AI, whether we like it or not, will destroy all the jobs. And perhaps what Baha'u'llah was talking about, work is worship and work is service, that's what we're going to have in the future. Anyway, I spoke too much. I'm going to give the place to others.
Thank you, Ahmed. Yeah, I was going to ask about humanoids also having a role, a caring role in aged care, where there's not enough people to look after, to provide just conversation, even if it could be programmed to provide some sort of spiritual companionship, even though we know that the machine doesn't care, doesn't know a thing, but the recipient might feel that there's some sort of conversation happening, and the machine can learn to communicate in a helpful way. Could there be use for it in some situations?
Sorry,
Yeah,
they're doing that in Japan already. They're doing that.
Yeah, Ahmed, you can go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I just want to say that they have already done it in Japan.
Yes, I think the proper usage of AI is to enhance the human experience in the ethical way, and not replace or not deviate from the standards of rectitude of conduct and morality. So if we don't have enough staff in the hospital, and then we could complement that shortage using AI, as long as it's ethical, I think that's a nice way of using AI and should be encouraged. But when the purpose now become to replace everyone working in the hospital, because we don't want to pay them salaries, we don't want to pay them benefits, and if the machine can do everything, then we save more money, then that became a problem for humanity. But if it's to complement and enhance human capabilities, I think that should be praiseworthy and encouraged.
Okay, thank you. Young, your turn. We've only got a few minutes, so I have to give brief, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Baron. It's interesting to hear your points of view on spirituality and AI. What I see in the last few years, the AI become a focus, and a lot of people talk about AI openly, more than other, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. AI is supposed to be secretive, but nowadays it's more open, and we can see more scammers appear on the horizon. And and my concern is about AI and finance problem. I mean, instead of you sending a bill to ask people to pay the bill, instead of sending $200 bill or $2,000 bill, AI might just mark it up and send out a bill of $2 million to a family. So therefore, what I'm saying is, AI can create more jobs, because then you will need expert people to control the programming, and we have to build infrastructure to support AI, like telecommunication, data center, and training the staff, especially people who dealing with exceptions. I mean, talk about bad things that are created by AI. And we say human being manage, control AI, and manage AI and change AI. So through times there can be change. And you know, there are two sides of it, positive side and negative side. And what people have to look at, both of the sides is just like surgery in a hospital. I mean, the human being now they have skill enough to do microsurgery, or you have to use AI to microsurgery. As you say, AI doesn't have senses. So people just like, you know, replace God to do all these things in the hospital. So therefore, I agree with you that AI will need action from humans. And there's another notion I need to focus, that when people talk about the mind and the soul, they often say if somebody's so sad, they say, oh, he or she got a torture souls. They use a tortured soul, but they don't use a tortured mind. So they know that this is something really minor, but it's so important. Thank you.
You're welcome. And as you mentioned, AI has the potential to create new jobs. Not only new jobs, can create new field of knowledge which does not exist anymore. So it has the potential first to reduce repetitive tasks. So any job that is very repetitive with less imagination and less creativity, AI will potentially be able to do it. But because all the basic stuff will be done by AI, so there is a new venue of exploration that will be open to humankind, because we won't be spending time doing a repetitive task anymore. We can automate them. So we may focus on start solving the most challenging problem of humanity. So I see that AI has that potential of creating new field of knowledge while expanding also the spectrum of employment in that sense.
Thank you, Baron.
Rosine, over to you.
Thank you, Colin. And thank you, Baron, for the brilliant presentation. I have three, I think maybe four different questions. I will go quick. My first question is, can we say, for example, in conclusion, that artificial intelligence are just machines that have only access to pre-existent data, and those data was already transmitted by some applications? And the second question, are the IAs connecting to the same central server? Maybe you want to answer first the two questions and then I can go forward, or shall I ask all the three?
Yes, we can go those two questions first. So the first question, yes, AI can only use pre-generated information. So throughout the human experience, we generate a lot of data every day in finances, in education, in media, and so on. So we use that, we collect that information, we use it to train AI. So AI depends on the information generated by human beings. And in terms of centrality, each AI system belongs to a specific company. Like we have ChatGPT, it belongs to a company called OpenAI. We have Copilot, it belongs to a company, it belongs to Microsoft. We have Gemini belong to Google. We have Siri belong to Amazon, and so on. So each company is developing their own their own technology. In China, we have now DeepSync, which was developed in China, and so on. So each organization, they are building their own technology, trying to compete in the market. Now, the information they're using to train those AI models, they could be common, like they could scrape the web on Google, for example. They can extract information from there, they get it together, and then they train the model. So that's the common source. And some other information could be internal, like from banks. A bank that's been functioning for the last 50 years, they've generated enough information to train AI, because 50 years of data is massive amount of data. So they can use that internally to train their own AI. For research department like NASA and so on, they've been operating for many years as well. They've generated that information to be able to train their own AIs to be able to perform specific tasks. Like at Walmart, we have the largest amount of information in the retail industry in the world. So that we can see Walmart is very advanced in terms of developing AI tools for the retail industry, because they have accumulated a lot of information in the past. They're leveraging it to give experience to AI so they can be able to predict markets, predict sales, and so on with ease. So in terms of centralization, there are some data that are centralized, those are public, like Google, and some are private. So it's a combination of both.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so the next question, since what connected us as human beings to the animal and plants worlds are minerals, are AIs capable of calculating and analyzing the minerals present in the human body?
So you are referencing to the different level of existence, the minerals, animal,
Yes.
vegetal, animal, and so on. And you're asking if the AI can calculate the minerals in our body.
Yes, I was thinking in terms of medical field, because if the AIs are capable of calculating and analyzing the minerals present in the human body, that means they could have the capacity to cure some disease.
Okay, I understand the question. Yeah, so the AI does not have the capability to analyze and calculate minerals in the body. What's happened is it's the human being who discovered a way of calculating the minerals in the human body and then pass that knowledge to AI through training. So what the AI is doing is just doing what the human being taught it to do, but faster, because it's a machine, it can do it faster. So it's not like AI invented a way of doing that. No, it was done by human being many years ago. They generated enough data and they use that data to train the AI, and now AI can help them do it faster. So the experience starts with the human and then they pass it to the machine after that.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can I just say that robotic surgery already is happening, and at Royal North Shore Hospital where I work, is doing it better than the surgeons. Surgeons say that.
Yes.
If I can slip in one more question. You said that animals don't have reason, but my cat begs to differ, because it looks for ways to escape, and you can see it thinking, and it finds a way. But I'm just wondering if that means it's programmed by its genetics and its experience or something, rather than actually using reason.
Yeah, from what I've read, that is part of the instinct. So genetically, they have an instinct to behave in a certain way under certain conditions. and they'll always repeat the same behavior and the same conditions for centuries. That's where we can figure out that there's no reason. If there was a reason, that behavior could change also, but usually does not change. It's very persistent over, I think, through eternity. So based on that, we could say we could confirm the fact that they have the instinct, which is encoded in their biological system, but because they cannot modify it and be creative on how to use it, then we could conclude that there's no reason.
Okay, that's a good definition of reason. And on that point, I just want to express gratitude that AI hasn't developed so far that Baron could have just put a robot in his place, because it's the middle of the night where you are, Baron, and you, and we're very appreciative that we got a real person with a very engaging presentation and fantastic answers. And so thank you very much, Baron.
You're welcome, Colin.
Thank you, Baron, and we'll see you whenever you are free. You join us if you wake up after the o'clock.
Thank
You
you.
do graphic simulation of himself. It's happening, in the YouTube. You can see those things.
Yes. The metaverse.
Oh, Tesfai from Ethiopia, I think, just would like to ask a brief question.
Yeah. First of all, I thank you, the speaker, very much for this very, very remarkable, which have gave me personally a really a good approach in knowing AI in the situation. So it reminds me that the phase is very, very deep, and it could answer any questions and beneficial to mankind. What I would like to add is one, the people are fearing of losing their jobs because of AI. In the first place, work doesn't end. Work is as vast as the universe. If man finishes works in this world, will begin in Mars. So work never ends, and that's why in the scriptures, work is worship. So, as I have listened to our very intelligent speaker, the AI has nothing to do with spirit, with with the soul. So the soul is the source of all things, as I have learned today. And again, I would like to ask him about this social media and advertising we see in the world. They can create wars. They can create very bad advertising things. So how can we differentiate? For example, everybody is using this television advertising. So how can we differentiate fake news, fake things from the real ones? This is very challenging for me. But I would like to thank, this is very remarkable thing I have got. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Tesfaye.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much.
There is a lot of scams in the digital world, even before the boom of AI. I think it's very difficult to be able to distinguish what is true and what is fake if we don't have a very strong digital acumen or very strong digital literacy. One of the easiest way to go about differentiating what is real and what is not real is maybe to check the domain name. So if, for example, they are advertising a specific product and you're not sure if it's real or not, you can just click on that product and go to see on the main page where they send you. It should have a proper domain name, like www dot the name of the company.com or whatever. So based on the domain name, you can now research there is a public available tool where you can put the domain name and it shows you who registered it, if it's a legit business or not. So that is an easier way to go about it, to understand whether it is real or not. But there is a pattern in scammers. So scammers usually don't use real domain name. They usually use very fuzzy names to represent their businesses. So if you see, for example, a product that is advertised on a website which have a name made of just characters, which means nothing, that's a scam. Those are generated automatically using AI just to scam people who are not aware of how the domain names works. And also you can receive emails that may be asking you to make a very urgent payment. So those kind of emails, they will try to mimic a legitimate email address. For example, if the legitimate email address is, for example, coming from from you, for example, it's called maybe tesfaye@yahoo.com. What they'll do, they'll write Tesfaye, but they double the E at the end. So if you don't pay much attention, you'll just read Tesfaye, but you don't see that they double the E at the end, and then you do the operation and you get scammed. Some, they'll add an underscore in between. And so we need to pay attention to those details before replying to emails or making any purchase online. There are those small things that make the difference between what is legitimate and what is a scam or what is being generated by AI to scam people.
Baron, we have one more question from Akshaya from Indira Gandhi Open University.
Yes. Very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all the people wherever they are joining from. I'm Akshaya from India, and I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
So that's great. So, Mr. Barron, what a fantastic presentation. I really appreciate. It was so full of wise inputs. It was really very, very informative and very well prepared. So, heartiest congratulations, number one. And number two, sir, can I request you to share your email ID or number with Mr. Ahmed or Mr. Colin and the PPT? And my question is, sir, according to Hinduism, okay, according to Hinduism, soul is a spiritual element given by God. And Muslim religion also has the same thought process, right? So scientists, Nobel scientists across the world are working day and night to find out how they can use self-awareness for AI. But as we all discussed now, all the wise people, we were having a great discussion. It seems difficult. So my question is, can self-awareness, self-reflection be given to AI? Can scientists excel in that? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Akshaya, for your question. The definition of the soul you gave from the perspective of Hinduism and Islam is the same as well from the Baha'i faith. So the soul is a direct emanation from God. It's not something that can be manufactured or created physically by any physical process. And now on the question of consciousness, self-awareness, the real self-awareness will never be achieved because that can come only from the soul. However, just like many other capabilities that AI is displaying from learning from human being, we'll reach a level where AI will be able to mimic self-awareness based on the information and input that has been provided to it. So it will simulate a certain level of self-awareness. And obviously, the scientific and business community will present it as a real self-awareness, but it won't be the real one. It will be just a reflection of certain patterns that will be observed over many years, and they'll be conceptualized in a framework that AI can start mimicking them. But genuine self-awareness that will make AI to be independent, that will never be reached, because it can only come from the soul and not from the mineral world.
Right.
But scientists are, toiled to
The connection is breaking.
also scientists.
Yeah, Akshaya's gone. Look, I think possibly we can finish on this point, and Akshaya has got Baron's email address. So thank you very much, and thank you for giving us some extra time, Baron, and it was a wonderful presentation to add to our collection and also for future reference.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your
Thank
participation.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ave Maria.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Baran.
Thank you very much, Shiva.
So we had to thank Jiva. He's the one who introduced Baron to me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Shiva.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're
Jiva.
Actually, Baran was with one of the African, what forum you are there?
Partners in racial justice in the US.
Yes. So that's where I found out him.
All right. Thank you all. Good night.
We'll see you
Good
next
night.
time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Baran.
Bye-bye.